As I like to use an external power supply and the Super Yoter uses a USB cord, I now have a magnetic USB elbow that I can just fit right onto the scope, and if something happens it'll just knock right off. And I can plug into it just a regular USB-C cable, and it has a nice little LED light that comes on that I will probably have to tape over for darker nights. Well, tonight is the full moon, and I spent several hours at the first night watching the full moon and these little birds way up high in the atmosphere flying by. Before later moving on to the next property, Carpe Sus. I've got some hogs out in the pasture. I am now to the point where I originally saw them, and they are continually moving away from me, which is unfortunate, as this is made for quite a long stalk. See some cattle off to the left, and most of the hogs are around a tank at this time. And now I've moved up a couple hundred yards further with my Bering Optics Super Yoter-R thermal weapon sight, and I'm going to be shooting a 6.5 Grendel with Federal American Eagle Spear TNT 90 grain ammunition. The problem that I'm having at this point is that I've got some hogs on this side of a fence, I've got some hogs on the other side of the fence, and so I'm going to pick this one sow back close to the fence and start with her. And I scanned over looking for a sow that was present close by, and she is gone, so I'm going to try picking up this little one right here. That's in the dirt. And while I can shoot on both sides of this fence, all of the hogs are in higher grass back behind the fence. I know there's some cattle over there as well, and so I don't have any clear shots.
Brass Catcher by Tactical Brass Recovery.
These were the only hogs I saw Tuesday night, and I came away with a single 140-pound sow. Wednesday night wasn't looking much better. I was actually on my second circuit of the night checking for hogs, and I finally came across these hogs there behind the tank. Looks like a nice little sounder. Originally I'd only seen about 3 hogs out by the water, and once I walked down and got closer, I'm looking downhill at these hogs, and there's a dozen individuals or so. I have hunted hogs here previously, and I already know that I have a problem. They are in a low area behind the tank dam, and as I come down off this hill, those hogs are going to disappear from view. But I don't have many other options, so that's what I'm going to do. Here I've moved to just the opposite side of the water from the hogs. There's a great big boar right there. I do not want to shoot this boar because I have to load these hogs up and carry them away. So I figure I'm going to get one shot, and I'm going to pick the tiny single dot reticle to use to make the shot. Now these hogs are not spooked at this point, but they are in defilade behind the dam. And I really don't see any out in the open anywhere. I can just see the tops of the hogs. So I'm just going to camp out right here and see what develops. And this is going to take quite a few minutes, and so I'm going to speed up the video quite a bit. And in the meantime, I want to give a shout out to my buddies Ryan and Joshua. They are 6.5 Grendel shooters. And this year is going to be the year that Joshua gets his first deer with a 6.5 Grendel. Carpe Otocoilius, my friend. Best of luck, Joshua. Alright, we're back to regular speed now. And I'm going to overlay a larger red dot for those of you on your cell phones who can't see this very well, so that you can get a better idea of where I'm aiming. At this point I'm waiting for a shot to develop on the one lone sow that I've identified out of this group, and it's not that hog, it's not that one, but it's the one coming out from behind the tree. This is going to be my best sow target with which to start. Alright, here we go. She gets hit, she takes off behind the dam. And I figure I'm going to have to go find her somewhere over here. But I keep scanning. And there's the big boar I didn't want to shoot. And here comes another hog that earlier I'd identified also as being a boar. I don't know it at this point, but it stops for me out in the open right here. And it gets a quick follow-up shot. And then I notice my big boar is moving right over the top of the dam. And now he's done, and I've got 3 hogs down. The first sow was an 80-pounder, shot at about 120 yards, and she ran about 60 yards to where I found her. The big boar was 225 pounds, shot at 130 yards. And the last hog was a 130-pound boar, shot at about 135 yards. Thursday night finds me hunting from the box blind on my property in southeastern Montague County. I arrived early and got a chance to watch deer for a while. And shortly after dark, I had a hog come in. And while the hog heads to the feeder that's up there at about 100 yards, I'd like to explain that part of the reason why my buddy Ben and I like to test out new equipment is we like to find out how it works and find out what problems there may be in using it, what advantages there may be in using it, etc. And this is where I'm going to find out about one of the disadvantages of using a magnetic connector for your power supply for your USB port. As it turns out, the video becomes corrupted because when I took the shot, my hand hit the cable during recoil. The connection became disconnected and I lost power to the unit. It corrupted the file. I had to recover the file using a file recovery program. So while basically a magnetic connector protects your port, you have to protect the cable, lest you run the risk of having come disconnected during recoil or other circumstances. I made a beautiful shot on the hog. It was a shot to the back of the head. It dropped him there in place at about 95 yards.
Well, that didn't go over very well.
No, it didn't. However, I did have a 190-pound boar down at 95 yards, and he did it for my night.
Carpe sus, my friends.